Well, the Dan Ives Tesla Trump trillions tour continues. Got to give credit to Dan here. Not only is he continuing his media blitz, but somewhat going against the grain among many of his Wall Street colleagues who don't seem to be on the same page. I find myself in this strange situation where I'm agreeing more and more with an analyst covering Tesla stock. I'm not sure if that's a good sign, but let's see what he's got to say.
Musk has and is going to have a huge seat at the table in a Trump administration. And I'm not just talking about the Doge and in terms of what ultimately could come from behind. I think this is a game changer because when you look at autonomous and AI and really the regulatory spider web that's really, I believe, locked some of that potential, there's $1 trillion of value alone just on AI and autonomous. And when we start to look out over the next 12, 18, 24 months, I do not believe that $2 trillion is ridiculous. I think to some extent it could be conservative. This is a poker move for the ages that Musk made on Trump. And now him and Tesla are going to just be significant beneficiaries.
So Dan Ives clearly continuing to double, triple and quadruple down on his $2 trillion in the next year or two as being potentially conservative. For context, yesterday we heard from billionaire investor Ron Barron that he can see Tesla getting to 3, 4, 5 trillion. And at the moment, as I record, the math's pretty easy. Tesla's roughly 1 trillion today. So I've got to give credit to Dan here. He does seem to be understanding potential, but that said, he's massively underestimating the true implications of autonomous in particular and completely ignoring the humanoid robot. I've just asked Grok, who by the way, you should definitely be polite to, AI has a pretty good memory. So imagine we have 1 million robotaxis, keeping in mind Tesla's global fleet today is around 7 million. We're going to add another 2+ million vehicles in the next 12 months. We'll soon be at 10 million. So this would be roughly, say, 10% of the global fleet operating as robotaxi. And this is well before they start cranking out the actual dedicated cybercabs, putting those on roads as dedicated vehicles. But these are nice round numbers. 1 million robotaxis, each doing 50,000 miles per year. A typical taxi sometimes in excess of 70,000 miles per year. So doing less than a typical taxi and charging $2 per mile on the lower end of a typical Uber today. How much total revenue per year? And then, of course, what would be a 30% profit on that? So we've got 1 million robotaxis times 50,000 miles a year times $2 per mile equals $100 billion of revenue. 30% profit margin on that, which will be Tesla's cut, assuming these are all customer owned, never mind their own vehicles, which are much more profitable. We're looking at $30 billion in annual profits on 1 million Tesla robotaxis, doing less miles on average per year than a typical taxi or Uber does. $30 billion in annual profits is a lot of money. But it's not a lot relative to the longer term potential. And this is what I'm trying to get at here with Dan Ives' estimates. He's talking about the next 12, 24 months. Look further. What happens? Tesla's global fleet of robotaxis scales massively. Based on some digging, it appears there's close to, but not quite, 20 million taxis, just taxis on Earth. If we add other ride-hailing vehicles, Uber, Lyft, DiDi in China, and a number of others, we're looking at roughly another 10 million. So we're not far off 30 million vehicles currently on Earth, best estimate here, doing transport as a service. And we just talked about Tesla having 1 million robotaxis. Context might help. Today, Tesla has roughly 50% share of all electric vehicles sold in the United States. Let's just say that Tesla captured 10% of the current global rideshare market. Remember, it's going to get bigger as prices come down, but play along at home. We're now looking at 3 million robotaxis. Based on those numbers, very conservative estimates, we're now looking at roughly $100 billion a year in profits just for Tesla. And that's assuming that they don't own any of the robotaxis themselves. That was just a 30% cut on the fares. Again, back to my point. The further you look into the future, the more ridiculous autonomy is going to be in terms of Tesla's profitability. We've heard ARK Invest size this opportunity at roughly $12 trillion. But hey, at least Dan's making some incremental progress.
You talk to investors of Tesla, are they concerned about, again, we've talked about this over and over again, about him spreading himself too thin. He seems to be able to keep all the balls in the air, and he's done that during his entire career. Here's another big ball in the air.
Sure.
Is this too much, maybe?
I think when it goes back to even all the Twitter acts and the worries about, taking the eye off the ball, clearly that did not happen. Yep. So there's more comfort there in terms of... Now, when it comes to, on the government side, you want him more involved. The more involved he is better for it's better for big tech. Because ultimately, when you say it's like Apple and it's unrelated, it actually is related, because when it comes to China tariffs, guess who's going to have a big seat at the table? It's going to be Musk. Because you will have, I truly believe, carve-outs when it comes to Tesla, Apple, and some of the supply chain in terms of NVIDIA.
Certainly can't hurt that Musk has a seat at the table and Trump's here, but let's be clear. I strongly believe that Trump's going to do what Trump's going to do. He'll listen to Musk, he'll take advice, he'll solicit opinions and feedback. But ultimately, Trump's going to do what he believes is in the best interest of the American people. Period. Don't expect special treatment for Tesla or any other companies. That said, Musk has a relatively large brain, understatement, and Trump's already shown a willingness to listen and to take on board some of Elon's ideas, right? So if Trump's proposing something that Elon sees as a catastrophically bad outcome for, wait for it, the American people, he's got to mention this to Trump, and Trump will potentially take that on board. But keep in mind, this is the same guy, Elon Musk, who's literally on the record saying that the EV tax credit should go away, which over the short term certainly isn't super helpful to Tesla. But over the long term actually does benefit because Tesla doesn't need it. Every other company in the US producing electric vehicles desperately does. But big picture here, what really matters, what's good for the United States is good for Tesla. Economic prosperity for United States citizens is great for Tesla. Incentivizing manufacturing in the US, great for Tesla. Helping consumers to purchase, afford, even subsidize the cost of US-made vehicles, good for Tesla. Incentivizing the creation of jobs, great for Tesla. They're expanding massively. And Trump is laser focused on creating a golden era of economic prosperity in the United States, which is going to be great for Tesla. In short, the Trump administration will help United States citizens prosper, which in turn means Tesla, the company, will prosper. The policies will be much less direct, e.g. let's give Tesla special treatment, and much more indirect. Let's lift the entire country and everyone wins, including Tesla.
Political pundits, both sides of the fence, don't agree with you. This is a guy who did Twitter, he did PayPal. I get all the technology Dan Ives chit-chat. Can he work in a political maelstrom like international relations between Washington and Beijing?
Yeah,
Is this a real question? Or is he just trying to make conversation? I'm so confused right now. We've been over this, haven't we, right? 2019, Tesla Shanghai factory, what happened? Let's just review what happened. Tesla takes a big risk in building a factory in China, their second factory. I mean, this is make or break stuff, right? If this goes pear-shaped, Tesla would have been fucked. And what happens? The CCP, who get what they want 100% of the time, rolled out the red carpet for Tesla, got down on their hands and knees and went to work. Not only did the CCP force local Chinese lenders to lend money to Tesla at below market interest rates for the construction of the factory. Think about that. But once this deal was locked in, the construction of the factory confirmed, China immediately removed tariffs, import duties they had on existing Tesla vehicles that are being produced in the US. The S and X, unprecedented. There were no roadblocks or obstacles, the complete opposite. And the factory itself was constructed in record time, less than 12 months from a, quote, muddy field to first vehicles rolling off production lines. Despite the fact that everybody knows there are major tensions between the US and China, I think one of Musk's probably most overlooked traits and abilities is actually his diplomacy. Now, a lot of small brainers will say, but he told advertisers to go fuck themselves. He also has courage and balls. But you have to look at the results. What has Musk been able to achieve via his companies internationally? The results are what counts. And just when you thought I was done, there's one final thing to mention about Tesla in China. They were the first ever foreign automaker to be allowed to produce a factory in China without requiring a local Chinese joint venture partner who would share profits. Think about this. That tells you everything you need to know. The first ever foreign automaker allowed to build a factory in China without being forced to partner with a local Chinese company and profit share. How did that happen? It wasn't an accident.
Look, I think unlike him and Cook are probably the only two that have been able to navigate the China tightrope political in
Fair.
Beijing. So there's no one that understands the China dynamics and also has a very good relationship with the President Xi in terms of Musk. And that's why when you look at this is, I think, look, it's going to be a golden era in terms of tech, golden era for Tesla, for Musk. And that's why with Trump getting it changes everything, because look, the FTC is going to be done, consensus view in terms of the street perspective. M&A is going to significantly accelerate. And that's why I think it's a champagne moment. It continues to be 10 p.m. in the AI party that goes to 4 a.m.
So for EVs in general, what's your latest thinking on just kind of where demand is there for EVs? It seems like we've hit a bump in the road here. How do you think about that?
Yeah, we've definitely hit a bump in the road, but I'd actually say we're starting to actually trough out, and you're starting to see growth specifically, not just in the U.S., but especially China. I mean, Tesla just had their strongest China quarter ever. But the big thing here, Paul, is that The EV tax credits, one of the first thing that Trump's going to do is going to rip them. They're going to pull them. The tax credits.
But don't the tax credits spur demand?
So that's a negative for the EV industry, a negative for GM, Ford, Detroit, 313
Is it a
area
negative
code.
for Musk?
But it's a bullish for Musk and Tesla because
Why?
they have the scale and scope where it's unmatched. So they can make money on a $35,000 vehicle. The others can't.
Mr. Breaking News himself asked on X, long term, keywords there, long term, is Trump getting rid of the $7,500 federal EV tax credit bullish, bearish, or neutral for Tesla? 43% said bullish, just 17.8% bearish, and nearly 30% neutral. And I saw this guy with 3 first names post something that I actually completely agree with. I mean, I almost could have written this myself. Let's see what he had to say. Companies other than Tesla who lose money selling electric vehicles today, as opposed to Tesla who make many thousands of dollars in profit, 17-ish% last quarter and continuing to rise. No other US-based companies making any money at all selling EVs. Very important to understand this. So companies other than Tesla who lose many tens of thousands of dollars per electric vehicle sold today will inevitably scale back electric vehicle production. They'll also kill plans for new electric vehicles. What the fuck are we going to make these if we're going to lose more money? We'll just go bankrupt faster. They will also focus more on their internal combustion engine vehicle business out of desperation so they can milk some more short-term profits, try and survive a little longer. But ultimately, they'll end up going bankrupt sooner if they can't scale production of compelling, profitable electric vehicles. If you're an extremely short-term thinker, you go, tax credit going away, meaning people buying a Tesla on average probably have to pay more. Obviously, not everyone's eligible for the credit, but just on average, must be bad for Tesla. But if you have a longer-term perspective, you understand the implications of this. There are no companies in the United States making any money selling electric vehicles that don't start with TESL and end in A. None. Tesla's the only company making any money selling EVs. And it's not just that they're making money. It's that their so-called competition are losing catastrophic amounts of money. We're talking negative profits of tens of thousands of dollars per electric vehicle sold. They need all the help they can get. And if these companies can't suck from the teat of the US taxpayer, they're just going to start pulling back on their EV investments, their production targets. They're just going fuck it. What's the point? We give up. Let's just go all in on ice, milk some profits for the next couple of years and then go bankrupt. And this guy also had something else to say. If you go to the supermarket / grocery stores / whatever they call them in your part of the world, and there is only one brand of cereal to buy, guess what you're buying? Now, I think the point he was making here is that if companies today who are producing electric vehicles and losing lots of money on them, but subsidizing those sales, are putting those products into the marketplace, it means consumers have a choice. The consumer doesn't care if they're buying a Ford electric vehicle that Ford's losing $60,000 on. The consumer just cares what they're paying. But if that's no longer an option, it's no longer on the shelf, so to speak, they can't buy it, can they? It's literally not possible. And if they were intent on buying an electric vehicle and there's one less choice, 2 less choices, 12 less choices, 35 less choices, they're looking around like, fuck, well, I have to buy a Tesla if I want an EV. Oh, wait, it's really good value anyway. Well, cool. This is the point. The EV tax credit going away short term, not great for Tesla, but long term, incredible. Now, of course, some people, some smart asses will argue, well, if I go and there's no cereal, I'll just get eggs. I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about the person who is absolutely intent on buying an electric vehicle. The cereal example is extreme, but it really illustrates the point. This is why the EV tax credit going away is the best possible long-term outcome for Tesla. No one's going to argue short-term that it's helpful, but you just have to use your brain and think a little bit. What would be the implications of this going away? And the implications would be companies today losing tens of thousands of dollars producing electric vehicles who desperately need this thing. If they see it going away, they're going to change their strategy, scale back EV production, kill new vehicles, and go, we can't even we give up, quit, done. Where do I throw in the white towel? Not happening. Let's just go all in on ice, milk some profits for a few years, and then file for bankruptcy. And funnily enough, it seems like the majority of Tesla investors happen to agree. Want more content? Early access? Bunch of perks? Click the links in the pinned comment. AG1 is awesome. I've been taking it daily now for more than 3 years. It's a great way to fill in nutritional gaps. It's packed full of vitamins, minerals, and whole food source nutrients. Plus, has prebiotics, probiotics, and adaptogens to improve gut health, regularity, and help your body handle stress. I'm always looking for an edge to help me feel and perform my best, which is why I haven't missed a day of AG1 for more than 3 years. And I haven't missed a daily video in more than 3 years. Must be a coincidence, right? Just try it and see how you feel. Click the link in the pinned comment or head to drinkag1.com/SMR and get yourself a free 1-year supply of vitamin D3 plus K2 and 5 travel packs. But don't take my word for it. This is what viewers of the channel had to say after trying AG1. I feel like I have a lot more energy since I started on AG1. By the way, viewer, that makes 2 of us. On to the next. Just got my AG1 in the mail. Legit feeling the effects after day 3. This viewer's been taking AG1 for 8 months and says, what an investment. Another. 3 months ago, I started AG1 and have been enjoying the evenness of alertness and energy that lasts the day. I just started the wife on it too. Are you convinced yet? I mean, hey, it's worth trying, right? Click the link in the pinned comment or head to drinkag1.com/SMR, or I can keep going. Plenty more to come. This viewer, after about a month on AG1, definitely a lack of fatigue in the afternoon. Pleasant side effect is that my coffee intake has imploded and is almost down to 0. One more? Yeah, why not? I honestly feel younger and will be continuing to use AG1. This stuff really is crazy good. I didn't think it would be, but this stuff is awesome. It really is what everyone is saying. One more? Don't mind if I do. I've just received my 3rd month supply. I've drank it every day. I have so much energy throughout most of the day. I'm productive, started a new business, started socializing, refurbished a boat. It's no coincidence. Thank you for your persistence, your integrity, and your insights. Now look, these are not my words. These are not my testimonials. This is what you guys and girls are saying. Maybe it's 100% placebo effect. But even if that's the case, I think it's money well spent. Click the link in the pinned comment or head to drinkag1.com/SMR and get yourself a free 1-year supply of vitamin D3 plus K2 and 5 travel packs. If you're still skeptical, hey, I don't blame you. Everyone on the planet seems to be promoting AG1 now, but guess what? They weren't nearly 3 years ago when I had this to say privately to my Patreon audience before there was a relationship, when I was asked about what I was doing for my health, energy, and so on. Just sharing my genuine, honest thoughts about a product I'd recently discovered that was at the time called Athletic Greens, now AG1. If I could only recommend one supplement to take, Athletic Greens, and I'm not getting paid to say this, Athletic Greens is a fucking game changer. I cannot believe how effective this is. No longer having a lack of energy in the afternoons. It's fucking amazing. There's only one thing to recommend, seriously. Try Athletic Greens. You won't go back. So obviously, just like Elon Musk is a liar, a fraud, a con man, a scammer, a fake engineer, and Tesla's going bankrupt, you shouldn't trust that guy from about 3 years ago who, without any financial incentive, was promoting this product to his audience on Patreon when they were asking about health and what he's doing for supplements. Because obviously, there was some other reason he recommended that, obviously. Not sure what it was, but don't trust that guy. And all the testimonials, like my mental game has improved with AG1. I feel better than ever. I'm so impressed I've bought it for both my parents. I feel more focused and have better digestion. Incredible difference. No more afternoon fatigue. It's relieved gut issues. These are all just obviously fake testimonials from fake people. Right? Wrong. Just try it. Unless you hate yourself. If you hate yourself and you don't even want to risk possibly feeling better, this is not for you. But for everyone else, what's the worst that could happen? Try it for a month. See how you feel. It's a no-brainer. Just click the link in the pinned comment or head to drinkag1.com/SMR. You'll get a free 1-year supply of vitamin D3 and K2 plus 5 travel packs. And you'll take the colossal risk that maybe you might have a similar experience to some of the people whose testimonials we've read in this video.